Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be making the regular person celery juice. So what I mean by that is I don't have a juicer. I have a NutriBullet, which is kind of like a high-powered blender, more than a magic bullet, and it's a lot bigger than a magic bullet. But, you know, I'm just a regular person and I wanted to know how to make celery juice without a blender, and I loosely followed a recipe I will put in the description box below. But I just wanted to go through and share with you how I've been making my celery juice. Oh, this is Chunky. Hi. So handsome. Okay. Alright, let's go make our celery juice now. I'm gonna go into the kitchen. I don't really have a fantastic angle in here. And please excuse the mess. But I'm just gonna give you guys a good angle of what I am working with down here. Alright guys, so before we begin and before I show you what I'm working with, what I'm showing you is enough for a 4 to 5 day supply of celery juice if you have 4 ounces a day. If you are just starting out on celery juice, it is recommended that you don't drink more than 6 ounces every day, just in case you have any gastrointestinal reactions or problems, dietary problems or digestive problems from the celery juice. 4 to 6 ounces a day is a good amount to test out how your body reacts to celery juice. But while I am, you know, preparing these ingredients, I wanted to let you know some of the benefits of celery juice could be you know, it could help with digestion. It could actually help make your face clear. So I'm only wearing eyebrows right now, and it's my time of the month, so I have a little bit of breaking out happening, but I believe it's been really anti-inflammatory, and it's helped my face for the most part clear up. I'm not wearing any facial makeup except for eyebrows right now, so alright, so without further ado, what I'm going to start with is just a handful of spinach right in our cup, so we're not going to chop this up at all. Our high-powered blender is going to do that for us. I am going to add a splash of orange juice. If you have lemon juice, I would recommend using that instead. I just ran out, so we're just going to splash that just a little bit right into this little NutriBullet container here. Additionally, after we chop up these ingredients, we're going to be soaking them in a water and apple cider vinegar concoction to kind of kill off any remaining bacteria, bugs, or pesticide that remains on the celery or our carrots or our peach. So let me get that mixture ready now. So my mixture is mostly going to be 4 parts water, 1 part apple cider vinegar. You know, we really don't want a lot, but before you add the apple cider vinegar, make sure you shake it really well. And if you don't have apple cider vinegar, regular vinegar will work as well. I found by soaking the ingredients in this mixture, you do not get an underlying vinegar taste, which I was really worried about because I cannot stand vinegar at all. However, while the ingredients are soaking and while you have this little tub here, you might get, you know, wafting vinegar smells. Just be prepared for that if you are sensitive to vinegar like I am. Alright, so what we're working with our chopped ingredients is 1 stalk of celery. I'm really only using 1 because that's all that's going to fit in this NutriBullet container that I have here. I have a handful of baby carrots, just 4 baby carrots that are pre-washed, but we're going to soak them and chop them up anyway. And then just to cut the real acidic flavor we get from these, I like to add a sweet fruit. So today I have a peach, however I could add some watermelon or a mango. Just make sure it's chopped up beforehand and you don't have like any pits or anything, because we will not be straining this. This is just like the normal person's celery juice, and the carrots and the peach and the orange juice and the spinach kind of help offset the celery water taste. So just as I'm cutting up these ingredients, I'm just going to throw them, as I finish them, right into our apple cider vinegar concoction. I am going to do a pre-rinse of the celery, but first I want to cut off all these leaves here and pretty much just these top ends. So what I'm going to do first, since some of these stalks are taller than others, I'm just going to cut off all of these tips and toss them. We don't want these. They are you know, it's been a few days since I bought these stalks of celery, so the tops are, you know, starting to rot, and they're not really going to give us much in the way of nutrition anyway. But then I'm just going to cut off this bottom. You can see where this baby was pulled out of the ground. Just gonna cut off that whole bottom part, so that's gonna help us remove a lot of the stalks. So toss that. Additionally, you know, on the outside, we're gonna have these really long stalks of celery. We can set those aside, but what we really wanna get down to is this whole center piece. So these are our smaller pieces of celery, and they're the ones who are still gonna, you know, they're a lot shorter, so they're gonna still have another butt on them and some more leaves on them. So I'm gonna cut those and trim those individually, just so I know that I'm getting high quality pieces of celery. And a good rule of thumb for celery or vegetables in general is just the whiter the piece of celery, or the whiter the part of the celery that you're looking at, the less nutritional value you're gonna get out of that. So actually these really small pieces that are pretty yellow, I'm just gonna toss these. And then like I said before, just gonna start chopping the leaves off of these. So once your initial celery chopping is complete and you are satisfied with the stalks that you have, you can just do a quick warm or hot rinse under the sink. That's going to get rid of any of these like little bugs we have that were, you know, stuck in the stalks. That's just going to rinse off all of those little pesky bugs in there. And having those little initial bugs is really common, so having that, you know, having a little pre-rinse is super important. It just helps keep your process a lot cleaner. So what I'm just gonna do is cut the celery. I know we don't have a lot of space here. I'm just gonna start cutting the celery into, I don't know, like half inch pieces like this. And then as I cut them, I'm just gonna drop them into this bucket. So I will see you in just a moment. We're gonna do some movie magic here while I cut all these stalks of celery. Okay guys, so you can see we have all of our little celery pieces chopped up and all of our little baby carrots chopped up. You could see, actually, this is a good visual representation of pieces that are better for you and more nutritious and less nutritious. So the less nutritious pieces of celery are going to be the ones floating on the top. I know that's such a weird visual representation, but the greener pieces and the more nutritional pieces are going to sink to the bottom. That's why, you know, well, the carrots are heavier, but this is a good representation of celery. So these pieces on the top are basically, well, I'm mixing it around now just to make sure the apple cider vinegar is getting around. But the lighter pieces, the whiter pieces initially floated, so those pieces are mostly water. It's just something a little interesting. So we're going to set those to the side while they soak, and I just rinsed this peach, so we're going to get started cutting this peach. And where you might notice we're not going to get a lot of fruit off of this piece, but we're going to get enough so that it helps offset that celery taste in this little concoction that we're making. And peaches are really hard to cut. Just if you cut it around it like you would an avocado, it's really easy to just peel larger pieces off of it from there. Alright, yeah, so pretty much what I have left here, minus this little bit, is the pit. So we don't have a lot of peach just from that little piece, but it's going to be enough to help offset that celery taste, or lack thereof, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to leave the skin on. I'm just going to chop it up a little bit more just so the apple cider vinegar can more easily penetrate into the peach. But then I am going to just toss all this in our apple cider vinegar. And then what we're going to do is let these soak for about 8 to 10 minutes, I think is safe for these ingredients. So I'm going to go wipe off my cutting board and I'll be right back. Guys, I also want to mention, just while these are cooking, that I have been drinking celery juice over the past 4 days. So I did drink a little more than 4 to 6 ounces every day. I did about 6 to 8 ounces every day for the past 4 days. And like I said, I've noticed my skin really clearing up. as well as I've lost 3 pounds. That's along with, you know, drinking this, you know, I drink low sodium V8 juice, I have a lot of fish and a lot of chicken breast. I've just been eating really clean for the past 4 days and I've lost 3 pounds. I don't want to say that this celery juice is, you know, the root cause of that weight loss, but I don't think it's really hurting. So yeah, I just want to give you my 2 cents. And I also want to add that this will not come out as like a pure juice form. Like I said earlier, we're not going to be straining this. This will come out with the consistency of applesauce. And it'll actually be really easy to get down if you don't mind the taste of celery. And especially if you're only having 4 to 6 ounces, it's easy to just like one done, like slam it back like a shot. But yeah, I will see you guys in a few minutes when we start to put our items into the blender. Hey guys, I got a little bit of a better angle so you can see me and kind of see what I'm doing. So it is time. The 8 to 10 minutes is up. We are ready to dump out this disgusting vinegar concoction and start to assemble our drink. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna grab like a plastic like strainer spoon that you would use for like pasta sauce or whatever, and I'm just gonna start scooping this into our blender. So I'm gonna fill this maybe about halfway full before I start the blender. You can already see it looks like not all of these ingredients are going to fit, but trust me, they are. So let's stop right about there. I just want to add, it's important to use a strainer spoon so you're not getting any extra, you know, like apple cider vinegar or extra water into this cup. We definitely do not want that, but you're just gonna want to screw on the top piece to your blender. There we go, make sure it's on nice and tight. Put it in here. I would say leave it on for like 1 minute to 30 seconds. Alright, so let's check that out. Alright, you could do like a little taste test here if you want to. The spinach taste is just going to be more prevalent now. And it's actually pretty sweet. I love adding the peach in there. Just gets everything moving and grooving, and the carrots will add another aspect as well as get you some vitamin A. And you'll just want to keep repeating that process. Just make sure that the container doesn't get too full because these really can easily overfill and ruin your Magic Bullet, NutriBullet, for real. Take my advice. I have ruined one of these before by overfilling. And another thing I want to mention while we're in the middle of this, especially if you're using a high-powered blender like a NutriBullet like I'm using, you're gonna notice that you're not seeing a lot of strings from the celery, and that is really cool. I find that finally chopping it up like this and then soaking it makes the strings so much less prevalent. I actually, when I've been drinking this over the past few days, I really didn't taste any straws or strings from the celery whatsoever, which is so awesome and so amazing. But anyway, I'm gonna stop talking and get the rest of these juices out and get our final product ready. Alright, so all of our ingredients are blended up into this cup, and mine did start to overflow just a little bit. I'm going to grab a paper towel and clean that up. But yeah, if you notice any kind of spillage, you'll want to clean that up before putting this back in here, or else you will be sad and sorry. But yeah, if you want to break here after all of your ingredients are blended up and kind of do a taste test, it's going to look more like a smoothie, but if you ingest all of this right now, your stomach might have a really bad reaction. So I would only suggest doing like a little sip. Okay. It tastes a little bit different than what I had before, probably because I used orange juice this time and not lemon juice. But what I'm gonna do is try to add a little bit of water, not ice, because then that's gonna make it more smoothie-like. I'm gonna add a little bit of just tap water into this and see if we can smooth it out a little bit. Alright, so I think we're going to the point of overfilling, maybe a tiny little bit. So before I put this back in, I'm just gonna do a handshake just to make sure all the water isn't sitting right at the top. But then we're gonna do, oops, I have a little bit of spilling over here. Okay, yeah, let me clean this up. before I put it in there. That would have been bad. Alright, so what we're gonna do is put it right there. And I think this is gonna get it to the consistency that I'm looking for. Oh yeah, look at that. That is way juicier now. Get a little taste. Mmm. Oh, that's so good. Alright, and since I've already had a couple little sips, I am just gonna pour a little tiny bit of this, like literally that much. This much should probably just be what you have on the daily, maybe just a little tiny bit more than this. And then make sure you're storing the rest of it in the fridge. So the NutriBullet, when I bought it, it came with this nice little like smoothie blender cap. So I'm gonna use this and store the rest of this in the fridge. So I can drink this. I think it'll keep for up to like 5 or 6 days if you miss a day of taking your celery juice. But yeah, I wanna thank you guys for joining me in this really easy tutorial. This is like the beginner's celery juice tutorial. We're not doing anything fancy here. But yeah, Chunk and I want to thank you so much for watching, and check out some of my other videos. They are nothing like this. This channel is really just dedicated to making whatever I want to make. So I have a bunch of videos on this channel, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye! Bye, Chunk!